There's a lot of competition and a lot of value around this price point. Both the Honor 9X and the Redmi K20 come in at about 2000 RMB. What are the major differences between these two? What do the phones do well? And which one should you go for? Both of these phones are very good value and give you a lot for your money. The Honor 9X has that brand new Kirin 810 processor from Huawei, and that will be used in many other more expensive phones. It also has a bezel-less screen with that pop-up camera. I like the way selfies look out of that a little bit more than the Redmi K20s, although the Redmi K20's pop-up camera does pop up a little bit quicker than the Honors. We'll get to the back cameras and some camera samples in a minute, but what are the main design differences between these two? You get a side-mounted fingerprint sensor on the Honor 9X, and on the Redmi K20 it's an under-screen sensor. Different interpretations. The Honor 9X's sensor is much quicker than the Redmi K20's, but you might prefer it under the screen. The Honor 9X is bigger, thicker, has a slightly bigger bottom bezel, and it does have an LCD screen, whereas the K20 has an OLED screen. That in itself may be a big enough difference for a lot of people to make an easy choice. The LCD panel on the Honor is very good, and I can't say it's a bad screen, but the fact is OLED is the future, and if you're going to have a phone for a few years, then you might want to future-proof your device a little bit. Both have 4000 mAh batteries. In my day-to-day usage, I've had the K20 for a few months now, and with the Honor 9X for a week or so. Both of them have incredible battery life. It lasts me at least a couple of days. But with an OLED screen and slightly faster charging, I think the K20 just takes the points over the Honor device in those aspects. These two phones are right in that sweet spot, around 1600 to 2000 RMB. The Redmi K20 is a little bit more expensive than the Honor 9X. You can go for the 9X Pro as well, which adds a cooling system on the back for gaming and an extra wide angle camera. They both have mono speakers at the bottom. The sound is fine out of both of them. The design is very similar too. This phone is a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. The 9X Pro is thicker and a little bit heavier, again over the 9X. The biggest difference here is OLED screen versus LCD screen. Are you okay with putting up with the LCD screen? Or if you really do want to go for OLED and you think it's for you, then the K20 is the way to go. The K20 on paper has a much more functional camera. It has an ultra wide and a 2x zoom lens, which the 9X doesn't. The 9X Pro does have an ultra wide though. However, when you actually use these, there is again not a massive difference between the quality of the images. I really like this shot on both phones. Both phones have very good camera systems. The K20 has an extra wide angle and an extra zoom camera over the 9X. That's a pretty big deal considering it's not that much more expensive than the 9X. Although I have to say, having a 2x zoom camera isn't massively functional. I honestly think 2x digital zoom on these cameras is about just as good as having an extra camera anyway. Whether you like Xiaomi images or Huawei images a little bit more is going to be up to your personal preference. I personally tend to prefer Huawei images. They just look better to my eye. But have a look at this one. There's no real quality difference between them. They're just slightly different in terms of the color and the exposure. Both of these have a 48 megapixel main sensor. There's no optical image stabilization on either of them, but the Snapdragon in the Redmi is pretty good at stabilization. I've yet to see what the Huawei 810 will do, so you can just have a little look for yourself and check out the audio as well, because I always think that Honor or Huawei devices have a little bit better audio than the competition, but again, I've not heard any audio out of the 810 yet, so you can just have a little listen and decide for yourself. Look what the image stabilization is like and have a listen to what the audio is like. So I've already done speed tests and gaming tests with the Honor 9X. The K20 was in those videos too. You can go and check them out. What I found is that the new Kirin 810 chipset is really powerful in the mid-range. It fared a little bit better than the Snapdragon 730 that's housed in the Redmi K20. But honestly, day-to-day usage, you just won't see a difference. They are more or less the same in terms of power, in terms of RAM management, in terms of snappiness. And they also play games on around about the same level too. So which one should you go for? Well, if you do play a lot of games and you watch a lot of movies on your phone, you're gonna probably like the OLED screen in the Redmi a bit more. Huawei devices have really good cameras, good video as well, good audio, and all round the phones generally perform very, very well. There's not really a winner out of these two. They're both very good phones and they're both very good value.